Hello everybody again, and welcome back to Chris Bosch Props. Today we are going to be learning how to cast Robocop gloves. As you've seen in my previous video, we finished this mold here. It's a pretty straightforward process, so let's just hop in and get to it. So we have our mold here. The first thing that I like to do is make sure that I have gloves on. Because as I said, this stuff is it's messy. Working with any kind of smooth on prop type material, it's just messy. You could try to not be messy, but it's messy. I wear gloves because this stuff's just going to get everywhere. As you can also see, there's going to be a little bit of dumpage from the mold. So I put some cardboard boxes down. I am a cardboard hoarder. I keep all my cardboard for stuff like this. That's just because we're probably going to have a little bit of dumpage from our first coat, and I have my trash can ready and I don't want to get it all over the floor. So the first thing that we're going to do is get our mold release here, spraying a nice little coat. Let that sit for about a minute or two, and then we're going to get to mixing our material. The material we're going to be using to cast this Robocop glove is Vytaflex 40 by Smooth On. It is a urethane rubber. It is a 1:1 mix ratio, super easy. We're going to add in a black pigment just to give us some color. Okay, so I have the material ratio ready. This is 1:1. I'm going to go ahead and add in some UVO black. Now this is just a black pigment to give us some color to our urethane material. I'm going to add about, I don't know, you kind of want about 40 or more. I kind of know it by eye. On the depth of the black that I want. See, like that's perfect. You want to put your UVO black material in your part B of whatever material you're using. You don't want to put it in the part A. It makes the material a little funky. So you always want to put it in your B before you start mixing everything and get to work. Another component I use by Smooth On is called Kick It. This is an accelerator. This accelerator will help this urethane material cure faster. This has a demold time of 16 hours. I don't want to wait 16 hours, so by putting this Kick It accelerator in, it will allow me to demold in 7 hours instead of 16 hours. And it also helps me, it cuts down my pot life. So if I didn't add this in, I would have to sit here and rotocast this thing for about 30 minutes. With the accelerator, it cuts that down significantly, more to around 10 to 15 minutes of me standing and kind of rotocasting it. So this is a must if you're working with this material. And it's a great material, so no worries on that. But yeah, you have a long demold time. I put about 1 teaspoon of material of Kick It into this cup here. And then I mix that also in my part B. Get that mixed up. Really good. Never put the Kick It in your part A because you'll have the same issues. All right, so we have all our components, our Kick It and our UVO black mixed in really well into our part B. I'm going to take my part A here and pour it in. I'm not in too much of a rush because I have a huge work time here. So get most of that material out. Let's get this mixed in real good. Alright guys, so I have my material here. I'm going to go ahead and start pouring it in. I want to make sure I get to the fingers as quickly as possible, but I don't want to let the material sit there too long because I don't want it to thicken up in those fingers, or else I won't be able to get my fingers in it. So I'm going to pour in as much of that material as possible, and I'm going to go in here. We are going to have some dumpage, and as you can see, I start kind of rotating it, getting that material. I want that material to come down to the end here. There we go. Yeah, you're going to have some dumpage like that. That's normal. That's okay. There we go, now we're getting all our coverage. And you can use your finger if you need to cover some of that. And sometimes I'll come in here into the light and kind of see where my spots are. See, I didn't get my thumb very good, and that's okay. We have more material here. We will pour it in. Alright, so this is a technique that I like to do. Once it kind of starts setting up a tiny bit, I'll just rotate it here on the table, kind of at an angle. I don't want the material to build up too thick in the fingers because I want to fit my fingers in and want the walls thin enough to accommodate my fingers. If they're too thick, if I can't get my fingers in, then there's really no point to doing this. So make sure when you're using the material that you try to keep the layer thick enough, but yet thin enough to accommodate your hand and your wrist. Because these gloves, even with a thin wall, are still kind of snug, but they'll fit comfortably enough for you to wear them. But it's just a technique. You have to find it. You have to find it on your own, whatever your technique is. So I've probably been doing this for about, I don't know, maybe 7 minutes now. Probably about 5 more minutes, and this should be set up enough to let it cure for just a little bit. And then I'm going to add in one more kind of a lighter coat to get some of the thin spots in. You can come in and kind of see maybe just a little bit. I'm not sure if the camera's picking that up or not. You might be able to see some of the thin spots in there. We want to get back and try to get some coverage over those areas. This is my second coat. Just rinse and repeat from what we did in the beginning. Alright, we're just wrapping up our second coat here, and in or should I say several hours, we will be coming out and I'll show you how I demold it. Alright guys, it's time for demolding. I'm going to take the fiberglass jacket off and I'll show you how I do it. Alright, we're taking our fiberglass jacket off. Set that to the side there. Material stuck. It's fine. Alright guys, so one thing I completely failed to do on the video that I showed you of how to mold the Robocop gloves. When I initially demolded the glove, I was supposed to add powder to the mold. And this powder on the outside helps the material, the silicone, to keep sticking from itself as it's rolling back. So I probably could have got the silicone off just a tad easier if I would have powdered this. So that's probably why I destroyed some of my masters also. But nonetheless, we are putting some powder on and we're going to get to demolding. You don't need a whole lot. And I also like to put a little bit inside of my casting. And this just helps to get your hand in and out of it and to keep this material from sticking to itself also. Because you're going to kind of be squeezing and everything else. Alright, so now we're going to start demolding. Excuse us for being sweaty, we just worked out. But in order to do this, I do have my wife help me. She helps kind of roll it back. Alright guys, sorry for all the sweat. Me and my wife had quite a bit of workout before we demolded, and we also got to work out demolding. As you can see, it's not really the easiest task to demold. It's not really a one-man job, so if you have help, it would be much easier for you. But we were able to pop it out. Here it is. It looks fabulous. I really like this one a lot. It's a lot thinner than my other castings. I went kind of too thick on my other ones. They still fit, but this is going to be perfect. And now I'm going to add in maybe a little bit of foam into this area. You don't have to, it's just something I'm probably going to do to thicken it up. But it looks fabulous. A little bit of flashing to cut away. But as you can see, the detail is there. And it looks excellent. So thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys coming along on this journey with me. Once again, Dallas Comic-Con is just right around the corner. I'm so excited, so pumped to wear this thing. Everything is just turning out exactly how I want it to. I just hope the same thing happens at the Comic-Con. So thank you guys, and we're on to the next one.